Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare.
And the first time that these drivers have used at least this configuration of this legendary circuit. We'll see what's going to happen. I'm expecting plenty of overtakes and certainly a fun circuit for these drivers to tackle.
Definitely agree, Sam. It's also with the new scan version, it's going to be quite interesting to see how these drivers react. One of the tracks that you would normally kind of, in my mind, associate with NASCAR Cup cars. I've also commentated Aussie V8 on here. It's one of those classic driver circuits, especially with that inner loop included. It's going to make for some fun driving for our viewers that are not familiar with the track. If you look at the track map, you can see that low at the top of the circuit. That's kind of one of the classic chicanes on this track, where it's very, very tricky for the drivers. You can see here sides going through the inner loop. It's going to be a big challenge for the drivers dealing with those curbs and making sure that the car stays stable through there. And it's going to be interesting with any overtake opportunities going into that area.
It will be one of the best opportunities. There's a few half opportunities, maybe not so obvious as the carousel, which you have if you don't have that bus stop, but there will be other chances for the drivers as they are currently putting in their second qualifying lap. And it is mighty close, ridiculously close for that matter. Sites with a 39.25. You can go back to, say, Studnicka, only 1/10 behind. He's down in 5th place. As in fact, apologies, all the second laps had been put in, so I thought they were just doing their second laps. In fact, there was just a few drivers trying to get a third lap in. And, well, we advance over to qualifying nice and quick. And, of course, a standing start, we don't have to go through the ordeal of the pace lap round this circuit. So, sites on pole position then. Then it is Scott Callahan. Aaron Barber, great to see him back in 3rd place. He won, if I recall correctly, back at Okayama. Then it's Havard Gullikson. Marek Studnicka with by far his weakest qualifying of the season, but still up there in 5th. Then it's Tommy Wittens, Aldous Putiklis, and Medema, Rafael Blanco, new driver, Jim De Backer, Gabriel De Rold, then it's Gaston Zabulegu in there, and then Christian Tanahote, Gwendolyn Old, Dennis Kyrkopoulos, Johan Hesterman, Michael Brake, Henry Olayade, Robert Woodward, Arturas Condelis, Fabio Birchtold, Alexis Vico, Ola Bratton, Maurizio Uccio, and that is all 24 drivers. 24 drivers just about managed to fit them in. I think there's quite a few splits for this one, and apologies for watching some of those new names because quite a few new drivers that we are seeing in this event.
Yeah, and those names are getting a bit trickier as the season progresses, but Watkins Glen, kind of the new shiny thing to play with at the moment for these drivers. So I think a lot of them taking chances. And we have the lights. Sam, take us away.
There we go then. Sights on pole position. Callahan alongside. And we are racing here at Watkins Glen. Really good start for Callahan. It looked like that Sights should have enough speed into turn 1 to hold on to that advantage. No changes in the top 8 so far, be it Modema and Puticus are currently alongside. Now we go up the S's, much wider than they used to be. Should be much easier on the cold tyres for these radical SR8 machines. But you still be cautious, and crash here would be absolutely disastrous with a roadblock very likely. They storm past now as we're sitting on the curb as they head down to the bus stop for the first time. Surprisingly, very little side by side, at least in the top sort of 12 positions or so. Really not many drivers getting the run in order to go for a move. I think everyone getting the toe on one another and no real advantages being gained by anyone. However, Puticus still having to defend, and in fact he's off the circuit and he's going to drop down, may even hit the wall. You can't afford to cut the circuit, otherwise he will be disqualified, and Puticus gets very detached from the back of the field.
Yeah, that looked like a bit of a mishap in the braking zone. The rest of the field still unaffected. Aaron Bava in 3rd position. A bit of an odd place to see him, but he is going to be chasing down the back of Callahan. And Sights sitting nice and proud there in 1st position. And all the drivers cautious on the cold tyres. It's a very tricky circuit to be managing on decreased levels of grip. As you can see, some of the drivers in the background running wide and through the boot section. So now almost coming to the close of the 1st lap. Studnicka nice and close there to Gudiksen, and for the last turn here, right on the rear, barely anything separating these two drivers. 9/100ths of a second, he's right on the rear. Nice drop, but no opportunity for him, and as they just try and touch the apex of the corner, they're running a little bit wide. Very tricky with the off tracks there. I think it's a bit less sensitive than it used to be. And Studnicka just trying to keep it consistent and see if there's any mistakes from his opponents.
Yeah, I think Studnicka kind of wants to get past. I think he looks, at least to us, as though he's a bit faster. But what he doesn't want to do is make a move and then lose time to the guys ahead as they are launching over that curve. I wasn't quite sure if they would be able to do that. It's much trickier than what it used to be. This curve's much more formidable, apologies. And so the drivers have got to be maybe a bit more cautious, but if you're going to go over the curve, you've got to go all 4 wheels over the curve, otherwise you're really going to unstable the car, or destable the car, apologies. So the highest positions, again, I'm saying Robert Woodward up 5 places from his side. He's up into 14th place, if you work there from Woodward, but no changes in the top 6, all exactly the same. Very few changes in the top 10 as well. DeRold maybe the highest gainer. They're all staying in a line. Sights trying to get away, but this is going to be one of the highest kind of draft circuits we have all season. We did have Spa earlier on in the championship. We didn't bring you the broadcast of that one. It was, I think it would have been on Boxing Day if we were going to broadcast that one, so that was not possible. But I think that's really the only track that rivals this one in terms of slipstream effect. And you can see everyone staying super close. And despite it being a new track, everyone knows it's like the back of their hand. It's the most visited road track on iRacing, and so we're seeing a very competitive field.
I think the quality of the track has improved quite a bit. It's a lot more consistent than it used to be. I must say though, the car of Michael Brake is looking a bit worse for wear. The wing of that car just sticking out like a sore thumb. Not exactly sure where he got rear-ended, but that is going to be affecting him a little bit in terms of the car's performance. And you can see he's already dropping back a little bit from Zavalagui. So a bit of a tough race for him right here at the start.
Yeah, he's going to lose another place. No, there's contact between the two of them. And Lower Owerlade round, fortunately doesn't rejoin in a dangerous position, and he even drops behind Puticus as well, so he was going for the move there. Now I'm not sure whose fault that was, as Puticus also just gets past Hesterman right there. Maybe cuts across. You can't afford to cut across too much when you're that close if you're going for an early turn in. You have got to be aware of the driver on your inside, but he had the overspeed, could not pull off the move. And yeah, so shame for him. And by the way, Brake what's a name for a driver? It's no Scott Speed, obviously, but I could barely believe my eyes when you have so many Blakes on Apex Racing TV. But to see a Michael Brake, next level stuff. It's an excellent name, most race driver name of the day, wins that race, even though he is down in 16th in this fairly unimportant race in comparison. Arturus Condell is one of the most competitive drivers on the field. Not a good qualifying for him as per, but I think with the damage on his rival's car, I think he should be able to make this move very quick.
Yeah, we'll see if he launches it up the inside here. And he is going to communicate that to his opponent, so he is positioned himself quite well. He doesn't have the speed on exit though, but Michael Brake running wide. And they're still going to be side by side as they go through the S's. This is not a safe situation. Condella seems to be backing out, so he's not going to put himself in danger. Back side by side, this is going to run to the inner loop. He gets the overtake, but now Birchstall looking to get a position as well. And Michael Brake is going to see the rear end of the... Condella's involved in an accident there, so he's going to be... Ooh, that's a very dangerous spot to rejoin. Unfortunately, losing out quite a few positions all the way back into 22nd position. But that didn't end well for him.
Yeah, I kind of looked away for a moment. I don't know if you could maybe get a chopper view of all of that. Because did Condelis get attacked from behind? Not sure who made contact because we had problems with Brake at this point on the last lap. Oh no, it was the number 9, wasn't it? You made that contact. Yeah, Birchtold and yeah, forced Condelis rounds. That is proving to be a tricky area. It always is. I don't think really the changes will make it much more tricky, at least in terms of racing. But certainly these drivers are struggling with it in that midfield so far tonight. Studnika's down to 7th place. I'm not sure if we saw Studnika lose those positions, but considering he was very close to the back of Gullikson for a while, it seems like a bit of an odd one. So here we are then. Studnika already dropped off actually the back of Gullikson. And then is that a slowdown? Must be a slowdown. But I don't know where you pick one up.
The slowdown where he just kind of lost control a little bit, and I think he just kept himself out of the way of the cars behind him because these cars are in such close proximity to one another. If you make a mistake, you run the possibility of getting run into by the car behind you. So it might have just been a case of avoiding the other drivers around him, so costing himself a few positions rather than his entire race. Tommy Witten's here under pressure from Medema, and Medema is going to still sit behind him, so a little bit confusing there going through the turns. Medema still looking at the rear of Witten, but now under pressure from Studnika behind him. Studnika really wanting to make up those positions, but not able to, running down towards the heel. And all of the cars are just stuck in this draft train at the moment. You can't really risk stepping outside of it for fear of losing a few positions.
Yeah, and there's a lack of hard braking zones at the end of these kind of long straights. Maybe for turn 1 might be an opportunity. This is probably the hardest braking zone. It's not got a long straight before it though. That is Brake still fighting, and this is with Putekles, who of course he made contact with earlier on. I doubt Putekles will take any more patience than last time. I imagine he's quite annoyed at this one. Not sure if it was Brake's fault necessarily, but I imagine Putekles will be pointing the finger at him. He is going to hesitate though, Putekles, before turn 1. He's super close and then tries to get on the power early, and in fact he's gone very wide there. I think that'll be a 1x, but no slowdown for him. He's going to have to go the long way, but that car should have much better straight line speed. No bent rear wing, and Putekles, the car number 11, moves up into 90th. Now he's got to defend from the slipstream from behind, but you can see even with the draft behind, Brake is not able to keep up with his opponent. Just a little bit further back, I think that's Condelis maybe trying to make up another place. No, in fact he's just lost out to Ola Yedi. Ola Yedi back to 23rd. After that contact at the chicane earlier on. Out in the lead, we've got the top 4 still fairly close to one another, but Sights with a half-second gap, which has been the case really for the last few laps.
Sights has really come into his own in this race. He's been performing very well in comparison to Callaghan and Aaron Bava. I just want to say with that Michael Brake overtake, or the Putiklis' overtake on him, it almost felt like a Michael, that's not right moment with that tactical off track. If this was an ever race, that would have sparked heaps of controversy. But thankfully, it's a bit more lenient here in the simulator. So, of course, just a bit of a slap on the wrist for Putiklis, but he's going to be very happy with that position gained without any incident. Callaghan, a little bit of pressure from Baba. He's having to look in his rearview mirror a lot more than he's looking in the road in front of him. But he's been consistent throughout the race, and I mean, he's up in second. He's definitely going to be happy with it. But it's a definite challenge.
Yeah, as Baba gets really close. Here's a move. Ooh, Medema over the curb and off. Fortunate not to hit the wall. And he's got to have Tana Hato behind catching up, who I think has just got past Old. Yep, half-second faster than that previous lap, and then I think got the move done into the bus stop. So Medema drops down to 10th place, and that was just taking the wrong amount of curb. But anything, it may have been not taking enough curb and unsettling the car. It is so tricky. It is one line. You practice one line. If you go slightly, if you deviate slightly from that, you are in big trouble. And that seemingly was what Anne did on that occasion. Fortunate not to lose more places, but now 2 places down from their start. A quick shout out, by the way, to Virtual Racing School, one of the sponsors for this broadcast. Virtual Racing School offering over 50 data packs for a variety of cars on both the road side of iRacing and also the oval side as well. And in those data packs, you've got setups, you've got driver tuition, you've also got their fantastic telemetry software as well. So big thanks to them for sponsoring us on Apex Racing TV. Meanwhile, Bjartsen and Kundler's are battling. Kundler's really struggling out here tonight. He's down in last place at the moment, and this is a proper fight. Neither of them can pull away from one another, it seems.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a rough one from Kundelis getting rear-ended, but now side by side, down into turn 1, this is going to get really interesting very quickly. So Kundelis getting to the favourable line, but is he going to be able to run wide? Yes, he does. And that is going to be Broughton tucking in behind Kundelis. So very clean racing from both drivers as they go through the S's in single file, very close together. It's again side by side, and this is going to go towards the inner loop. Kundelis with the inside line, but side by side. And he needs to be very careful not to get cut off. Kundelis backs out, and that's a very, very tactical move there from him. Definitely avoiding a collision, but Broughton very bold with his move through the inner loop there.
Yeah, that's terrific racing. Really good space being left by the pair of them, and they got all through without issue. And I think this battle's just going to go on until the end of the race. We did see, or we didn't see, but there was a move on the timing tower for Robert Woodward, who is up to 13th position now. I think it was on Kyriakopoulos. I'm not entirely sure. It may have been someone else who's since dropped down. But that was earlier on in this lap. So Woodward still up 6 places. Highest gainer of anyone. Birchtold and Tapia Vico up 5 places each. And you can see the nation's brilliant representation. Good to see some Blanco, the driver from Uruguay, and then Durold from Argentina, and Zaba Legui from Argentina as well. You can see Latin America being represented along with the rest of the world as well as Per. Durold having a bit of a dull race actually. If he's got any fans on the YouTube chat, do let your presence be known. But unfortunately, yeah, not much going on. Everyone's very close to one another, probably the closest field we've had all season. Everyone's competitive. In fact, you know, Kundelis is only some 26 seconds off the lead, and considering that he had a spin, that is very close. But everyone's so consistent that we're not seeing too many overtakes at the moment. Still, Tommy Bittens is holding on to this position. He's got Stevnika catching up to him after that seemingly slowdown or loss of control earlier on. And also Dennis Kyriakopoulos, after losing that position to Robert Woodward, trying to take it back.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a shake-up for the usual drivers. I think they're not completely used to the driving style of some of the drivers around them, as we've got quite a few names. I just wanted to mention on the topic of nationalities, I have no clue as to which country Broughton is from. I've never recognized that flag. If you're the viewers,
Scandinavia. It's just the Scandinavian flag, so I understand your confusion on that one. I think it's Scandinavia anyway, so it just covers that entire kind of group of countries.
apologies for my lack of geographical knowledge, but thanks for the answer, Sam. As always, a fountain of knowledge. And yeah, it's kind of weird or odd that this battle for last place is kind of the most heated battle on track at the moment. Although Tommy Witten's under pressure here from Studnicka. Studnicka running towards the inside, not going to get the line that he wants, as Witten's just resumes the racing line in front of him. Studnicka a bit further away. He's kind of giving Witten's a lot of space at the moment. I think just all the drivers very cautious of the ones around them. A bit of a oversteer moment there for Wittens, so he's having to compensate. Studnicka.
Oh no!
Debaker into the wall, and that car is going to be looking quite worse for wear. Not exactly sure if he's got suspension damage. That looks to be the case on that front right tire. Hopefully he can resume, but I can't believe that the car would be drivable after a turn like that. On the inside, so now also with Hesterman around him, sorry, Uccio, still side by side.
Oh, Studnicka's got past Vitsens as well, so Studnicka up into 5th, as Debacker does get overtaken. There is Studnicka into that place, matching his seeding, and putting Vitsens back to his seeding as well. This was the mistake then from Jim. Oh, he dipped a wheel on the grass. Yep, just maybe lack of concentration there from Debacker. And yeah, I mean, I would have thought he'd have more damage as well, Johan, honestly. But he seems to still be going on normally. Could we get a replay maybe of the Studnicka move? Because if it was into the third to final corner, then that would be a very creative overtake. Because it's not necessarily a standard overtaking spot. I think, like we kind of expected just before the bus stop, probably the best one. But yeah, it was into the third to final corner. Oh, really sliding was Studnicka as he just dived it down the inside. No, or was it a mistake? It was a mistake then. Studnicka was quite passive. That's why I was surprised. I was expecting a dive bomb, but no, it wasn't a dive bomb at all. A mistake from Vitsens. Maybe a sign of those rear tyres overheating a bit.
Yeah, he was having a bit of oversteer. He was experiencing oversteer on the car in quite a few corners. I think the pressure was really getting to him and was pushing the car as hard as possible. But consistency is going to win out at this track. If you make a mistake, that is going to cost you the position. Aaron Bava still in third place. So sides Callaghan, Bava and Gullikson all still in the same position that they started this race in. And in lap 11, going into lap 12, I think, this is going to be a tough one all the way to the end. The tyres are going to start to fall off at this point, and maybe a bit of a shake-up, although they've all been very consistent.
Yeah, they're all getting closer though. You see those lap times on the last lap. Gullikson the fastest, Sykes the slowest, and so this is the closest that these top four have been for a little while. And could this even be? No, I'm not crafty. Callahan's not going to get it from this back. I know you'd be saying, will he go for the move? But no, he's way too far back. Not a big braking area. But this is a bit closer than what it has been in the past. Big thanks, by the way, also to another one of our sponsors, SDK Gaming, who provide our overlay. And you can see the time tower on the left side of the screen. Gives us so much information, as we see. Robert Woodward, this is more information, which isn't necessarily needs to be delivered by the overlay. Albeit you can see the driver info on the bottom left, which is an excellent element, and of course lots of other elements as well on the timing software. Also got live timing software, and also as a heads-up display. Big thanks to SDK Gaming for helping us out on Apex Racing TV, as still we've got Old hanging on to this position. Kyrkopoulos having to defend for everything against his fellow countryman in Berchtold. Berchtold with a much better run. He could have a good chance into the heel. Remember, they can run as wide as they like in coming out of the heel. Contact between the two of them, and Berchtold does move through, and Zaba Legui also moves into 14th place as well. So Kyrkopoulos defending hard, would have wanting to get ahead of those couple of drivers ahead of him, but he has lost 2 positions.
That was very close to disaster there for Kyrkopoulos. I just want to make a little bit of an observation about the inner loop. So watching Greg Seitz go through there, he dips a wheel into the grass before he goes into the braking zone. It's kind of an odd one where he loads up the tire on the grass. So looking here, just watch his car and watch his front left wheel. I see into the grass and then into the inner loop. It's a bit of an odd thing to do there. Very risky.
Yeah, I don't know if that's legit. It would be great to see, great to ask him about that later on, or whether it's maybe just like it's sort of net code, sort of iRacing checking his car slightly different for us spectators. But then, you know, it's not happening to anyone else, it looks like. So I think you might well be right. But yeah, it'd be great to get an interview with him about that, because I've never noticed sites do that in the past, at least.
Yeah, it's I can't imagine how the car stays in control, so I think you're right, it might be a little bit of the classical netcode. Gullikson looking at the back of the front 3 runners, and it might just be that at this track the drivers are so well matched. We've seen a lot of changing of positions at the back of the pack, but it's such a difficult track for overtaking, and then with the skill of the drivers being matched so closely, the only place where there's really opportunity for shuffling is going to be the middle of the pack and at the rear.
Yeah, I'm going to be a really old man now and complain about everything, but I would like if we didn't have the bus stop. I think it would be that much more possible. I love overtaking at the carousel because it's so impossible to defend. Outside line, at least on the old side, it was super grippy, and so you could defend the inside and still be done on the outside. This chicane kind of just does stop much overtaking. I mean, we would probably see alongside, I think, between the top two if it weren't for that chicane. Just gives that extra run, as that's why for Callahan, he's going to lose second position here. But where does he rejoin? He's behind Barber, he's behind Gullikson as well. Callahan was getting super close. That was as close as he'd always got. But he was running so close, I think, behind sights. Maybe his vision slightly impaired, maybe a bit of turbulent air as well, and Callahan drops down to 4th position.
Yeah, Sights again taking kind of that sweeping line. Oh, and there is contact. That is Woodward, and he's going to lose out a fair few positions, so he's back into 17th. I think he was in 15th, so losing 2 positions in the space of 1 corner. That's a bit of a rough one for him. And he's going to have to recollect himself on lap 14, so not much time left for him, so that's a bit of a disaster happening. Meanwhile, Zabla Gui is sitting proud in 13th position at the head of the draft train of, I think that's 5 cars. Well, let's say 4.
Ooh, big crash. For Olayedi.
That's also Devakur's car, and that, I don't know how that car's still driving. It's been into the... So let's see, we've got Devakur in the forefront, Olayed behind him. Oh, and that's he's just trying to avoid Devakur there. That's a bit of a rough one.
So I assume Kundalers and Bratson will be able to get past them. Devakur, yeah, he's off again. Maybe 1 hit's enough. 3 hits. Yeah, that'll do it. And he has to come back into the pits. No faster pairs. That'll be the end of his day. Great lap from Barber. He's caught up a bit on sights, I believe. At least according to my time on the screen, I think. Here comes Putklis. Going onto the back of Vico. Vico, I think, backing out of that one. Putklis pass. But again, you see how if you run just that little bit wider, you really can launch yourself over that curve. You needed to be more on the right there, did Putklis. And he nearly lost control of the car, nearly hop straight over. Fortunately for him, he wasn't needing to be too late on the brakes in order to consolidate the overtake. that is the danger that you run whenever you have a slight imperfection around that corner. Oh, that's imperfect. That is far from perfect. You know, that is a punt into Kyrgiopoulos. He got himself into the wall, and that's a shame for Kyrgiopoulos because he's been hit a couple of times in the later part of this race. Otherwise, a top 12 could have been hit.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I think he's dropped down all the way from 14th position, so that was Putiklis into the back of him. I think it's been a bit touch and go with this race for a lot of drivers. It's a bit odd though, because the racing with the F1 cars was really good here, and now with these downforce cars, it's looking odd as we take the white flag and last lap for the race, with Seitz and Barber heading up the front.
And Barber is getting closer. He was 2/10 faster on that last lap, but he's lost his main overtaking spot. But there goes Seitz, who's over the grass. Now, I don't know if that's a slowdown or not. I think he's got away with it, but I'm honestly not sure what the slowdown rules are. Barber can go for a dive. I don't think the championship will matter too much for these guys. I think they just want to beat one another. We've got the toe coming up next, not a big braking out, but I think the heel will possibly be his last opportunity. Can he stay close, Barber? He's trying to apply the throttle, so he's going to apply a bit of opposite lock as well. Barber just gesturing to the outside, but he could still go for a big dive up the inside. Again, he backs out of it, and he's just got to follow in the tracks as well. Huge slide, and that will be it. Seitz will have a big enough gap now. Gullickson's not close enough to attack Barber. He was pushing the rear tyres through the toe. He pushed them too hard through the heel. They could not grip up. Out in the lead, big Seitz, where he got pole position, and that was maybe the decisive moment because everyone behind him has made mistakes. But Greg Seitz has been absolutely perfect from start to finish. He approaches the checkered flag and he wins at the new Watkins Glen circuit. Ahead of Barber, Gullickson rounds out the podium, and Callahan with the fast lap of the race, but a disappointed fourth. We've still got battles going on. I think Old and Zabalegui have been very close on this last lap. Or apologies, Putiklis trying to get the run on him. He goes to the inside. There's not going to be enough space though, and Zabalegui does stay ahead in 13th place. I think maybe Tanehato who passed Birchtold. Not quite sure. I thought I saw space move around that part of the track. But anyway, really good fight between all of those drivers. In the midfield, and there is our race winner, Greg Seitz, once again, who hasn't necessarily been imperious this season. DJ in apologies, Johan. My God, I'm getting confused between my co-commentators now. In qualifying, but he did it tonight, and once he got into that lead, he is a very difficult man to beat.
Yeah, I agree. Greg Seitz definitely. I mean, we saw just the immense amount of pace that he's got. They had last season, and he's been a bit overshadowed by Aaron Barber during the initial part of this season, but tonight he just absolutely showed us exactly what he can do. And I mean, that's start to finish first position, just leading the entire race. That's definitely going to bring a smile to his face tonight.
Dan Cranefuss letting us know that Greg is known to put his wheels on the grass on corner entry. It's a little technique that he has got, and all he needs is a blade on his car, and then he can handle the trackside mowing during the race. Yeah, very good work there from Greg Seitz, and I might still question him a little bit about that later on, because it's very interesting, and yeah, ask him when he started doing that and such. So there is Greg Seitz, 3/10 of a second clear of Aaron Barber, who, I mean, I think all of those top four will argue that they were the fastest driver. It's hard to tell. I think Seitz in qualifying, so he certainly deserved the race win, but Barber was closing in those closing stages. Gluckson in third position, the car number 21. That will be a huge iRacing boost for him. Then it is Scott Callahan, Marek Studnicka. He made that mistake, of course, did well to recover back to fifth. There was Tommy Wittens, Rafael Blanco, Gabriel Derold, and Medema and Christian Tanehato. Fabio Birchhold was in 11th, then it was Gwendolyn Old, Gaston Zabalegui, Aldous Putiklis, Alexis Vico, Robert Woodward, who was up a lot of places at one point, but he had that bit of contact, lost in 4 places. It was unlucky in the end for Woodward. Then it was Mauricio Uccio, Johannes Hesterman, Michael Brake, Dennis Kyriakopoulos, Arturas Kondelis, Henry App Olayedi, Ola Bratson, and Jim DeBreaker in 24th position. Hopefully see many of those new drivers back for future weeks. High strength of field tonight, so they've certainly got the iRatings to get into the other strength of fields, I imagine, for the rest of the season. Final shout out, by the way, to Apex Racing Academy. Apex Racing Academy with 29 data packs, and those data packs including setups, check guides, weekly group coaching sessions, and it's also integrated with virtual racing school. They've also got the brilliant setup sync technology, which automatically downloads the setups that you need for each official week of a racing series straight into your file directory, and you can quickly load them up once you're in the simulator, and it's very useful stuff. No need to go to the website, download it, put it into the right folder. Instead, they are all there straight away for you, which makes things a lot easier. You don't even think about it after a little while. So big thanks to Apex Racing Academy. Do check out apexracingac.com for more details, as we will hopefully have some interviews, and well, we are already going to have an interview with our #1 driver, our race winner tonight, Mr. Greg Sight. Congratulations, Greg. That was, I imagine, a very stressful race win for you. In the end, though, it seemed to come down to track position and that pole position you got. I mean, how good was that lap? Because it seemed very close between you top guys.
I mean, it was a pretty good lap. I don't think any of us did our best lap, so mine was kind of the best of the not so best. It was a pretty good lap, but not my best. Definitely, I've been in the ones. I think Scott and Aaron have as well. So all of us, I think, had the potential to do better. But I was happy that it was just good enough to get me pole.
We saw during the race, and your teammate Dan lets us know a little bit on the chat as well about your kind of technique on corner entry. You're kind of dipping your wheel onto the grass. Now, I honestly thought that it was maybe netcode, but you know, what is that technique? Are you really going on to, you know, just tapping the grass slightly on the outside there?
Yeah, I tend to, especially on this track. I don't know why, but this track lends itself to just using a bit of grass to get the car rotated. It's kind of high risk, high reward, as you would expect, because if you get it wrong, you know, you can send it into the wall pretty easily. So you have to take it very gingerly, but you can pick up maybe a few hundreds by doing that, especially if you can do it consistently. So yeah, I love this track. I was worried when they resurfaced the track that I wouldn't be able to do it anymore, but it still works.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, in those closing stages, we were riding on board with the second place man, Aaron Barber, for a bit, and it seemed like he was really sliding along. You seemed maybe a little bit more smooth out there. I mean, was that something that you were deliberately doing, or was it quite tricky for yourself as well to keep the car going in a straight line?
No, I kind of, well, I think I had a huge advantage in the sense that I was in front, so there was less aero that those guys had to deal with. I mean, they had to deal with a lot more push. I think it was scrubbing their tires more. But I also tried to maintain my tires knowing that, you know, the real racing was going to happen at the end. And then I kind of moved my brake bias forward to take some heat out of the rear tires. So yeah, it was actually pretty good. I was pretty happy with my whole race, other than the last entry into the chicane. It wasn't so great. It almost cost me the race. But Aaron is a super clean driver, so he didn't want to push anything that would end up sending us both into the wall.
No, that was very good to see. Yeah, a really good performance tonight, Greg. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, again, my team, Rust Racing, also Aaron, Scott, Tommy, Lucas, the general crew that we tend to race with, week in and week out. So we have a lot of fun. We're on comms together. So we usually end up doing a lot of clean racing because we know what each other's doing. So yeah, really happy with that. Also wanted to mention, Scott had mentioned that there is voting in the forums for the format of the league next season, whether there's going to be pit stops or not. So anybody who's a radical driver out there, go vote on the forums.
Awesome. Yeah, I will. I might pop down there. Is there the schedule, the track selection up yet?
I don't think. I think I'm not sure if they're voting for the tracks. I think they are voting for the schedule, and then the other thing that is introducing whether we have pit stops, which personally I'm a big fan of. So it'd be kind of cool to have that.
Yeah, it'll be certainly very interesting. Thanks for having a chat with us, Greg, and best of luck for next week.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
Quick sights there, your race winner and pole sitter. However, we have next got our runner-up tonight, Johan. I think you're standing by with Aaron de Papa.
Yeah, so welcome, Aaron, and just a massive congratulations on that second position. Maybe one of the tougher races of the season, just looking at how difficult it is to overtake here, and especially with how close the four front runners were. Just maybe take us through what that race was like for you, and what that last lap especially was like, pushing for the overtake on sites.
Hi guys. I like Greg said, I had a bad quali. I made a mistake, so that cost me P1. But I was happy with P3 because you get a lot of draft on this track. But the downside of that is if you stay like 15 laps behind two cars, you get so much so much dirty air on the front tires that once you get some clean air, it's like the tires are gone. And after 50 laps, I had really no tires. I was sliding like all over the place, even with 56 brake bias. So, and then the second thing is I had like P3. I was happy. I was just looking for the last lap. If I get an opportunity, if Scott or Greg make a mistake, then I will try something. Otherwise, I was just happy with P2. The problem is with these guys, we are racing and we are on Discord together, and my thing is I consider them like friends, so the competitive side of it is for me totally gone, so I'm just having fun with them. For me it was P1, P2, it was the same thing, but I tried. Greg made a mistake on the last lap on the chicane. And honestly, if it was somebody else, I would have made a move much more aggressive to go for the win. But it was Greg, so I said, okay, don't do something stupid. Just try to let's see for the last 2-3 corners. And he nailed those corners perfectly. So yeah, I couldn't make any other move. But it was a good race. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's just incredible to see the sense of community that. You radical drivers have between yourselves.
Yeah, we are on Discord on the race, so we are like talking the whole time.
It's a bit of a tricky one though. If someone gets involved in a crash and screams, I can imagine how distracting that can be.
It is, yes. Mostly that's Scott or Tommy, yes.
Was Scott Callaghan shouting a bit with what happened to him in the inner loop, or was he fairly quiet when that happened?
He was quiet this time because no other car was involved, so he took it like a man. Yes, he said, "Yeah, that's my mistake. Just go."
Oh man, that's awesome to hear. And then it's next week we're visiting Suzuka.
Yes,
it's another track that lends itself very well towards downforce cars. Are you looking forward to the race, or is it a bit of a tricky track for you?
I will try to do next week, but I have some work issues that I need to resolve first. But I will do my best. I'm doing this one even with COVID. I'm doing this one. I'm really tired. Like that thing with one race, you're like done. I have to take a shower now. So, but I will try to do the next race. I like Suzuka, and with this car, is I think one of the best tracks combo.
I definitely agree with you, and I'm really looking forward to commentating on that race and seeing you guys there as well. I do hope that you can make it, because it's always so much fun to have you in the field. From your side, Aaron, any supporters, people watching that you want to send a shout out to?
Oh yeah, everyone who's watching now, everyone who follows me on Twitch, everyone who watches our races from the back that I do with Scott and Tommy and Greg and Lucas, and all the laughter that we have together, and then you guys doing a great job as usually. So yeah, and all the people in the Radical community, of course.
Awesome stuff. I do hope you have a wonderful evening, and yeah, have a good weekend, Aaron.
Thank you guys, same for you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so that was Aaron Barber, our runner-up this evening. And I think that pretty much rounds out our interviews. But of course, if anyone's listening along who usually races in this series, or maybe any of the kind of broadcasted official series races, or even league races that we do on Apex Racing TV, come have a chat with us. Sometimes we have a bit of time afterwards, and even if you aren't retired during the race or something, you know, come have a chat with us. We can still ask you a few questions and yeah, get some insight into what happens on the track, and it helps us for future broadcasts as well to know everyone a bit better as well. So yeah, certainly do that in the future. Johan, I think you mentioned how Suzuka was the next round of the championship. I think Aaron was saying how that's a really good car check combo. My argument is that Suzuka is epic in every car because it is the best circuit in the world, and so I'm very pleased that we're visiting them.
Yeah, I did my first hour and a half GT race there. I did that in my VR headset. I was absolutely pouring in sweat afterwards, but it's just Suzuka always in my mind. It just, the word epic comes to mind. It's always something big happening there. It's such a pity that it hasn't been on the schedule for the F1 series, but it's always fun to visit it with the iRacing cars, and I do think we're going to have a very fun race there. It's always just so much fun to see the cars just blasting through 130R, and yeah, definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was saying how Monza's really the only rival to this circuit in terms of speed, but I think that probably, I think Suzuka probably eclipses this place. Amazing circuit, super high speed, and yeah, hopefully you'll join us for that one. But of course, on Apex Racing TV, we're broadcasting loads of other stuff. Tomorrow we've got the next round of the Apex Racing Academy Formula 3 Virtual Racing School Super Series. I've also got the Formula Renault 3.5, not Formula Renault, just Formula 3.5 official series on straight after. Then on Sunday we've got IGP Fun, that's in the Formula 3 cars. We've also got the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. We've also got on Monday the Apex Racing League Mazda Cup as well. On Tuesday we've got the Apex Racing League GT3 Pro Trophy. On Wednesday we've got Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup as well, which has some good races, and of course also Apex Racing League Touring Car Britain on Thursday, and that is just a few of the races. That's just some of the European races we do. We also broadcast our races for the American community as well, so really all through the day do subscribe to Apex Racing TV, and also click that notification button, and then you can see whenever we go live with a stream. Also check out our social media pages on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. Go follow us on that, and then you can see updates and everything that is happening on Apex Racing TV. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Johan Karanes and from Sam Kume, we are going to say goodbye, and we'll see you back in 1 week's time at Suzuka. See you then.
Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross world champion Mitchell de Jong
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
and many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.